Very different conditions over the years, but so far 3 regionals in, and these athletes get to enjoy good racing conditions for this boys championship race. Hope as you join us here on runnerspace.com and we work our way down with the Gator, you see some of the athletes that you've tuned in to cheer for. A lot of folks watching from around the country. Record numbers, Tom, in all of these regions in terms of entrance at all of these subdivisions, the open races. And we saw Robert Matura, who actually won the open division last year after kind of getting, lost a shoe in the state title meet, and his time and finish the state meet did not get him into the championship race, so he ran the open race, won that, came to the Heartland this year, and walked away with a spirited sprint to the finish win to take the Heartland boys title. But what are these final moments of reflection? What are these kids thinking about right now?
Well, this is the big time, and for many it's their first exposure to a championship race. One thing I want to point out on Midwest, though, Paul, you were mentioning the number of entrants. Midwest had almost 3,750 entries in all the different divisions. The other thing I want to point out is this is going to be a real race at the front. The girls' race, Rachel Forsyth should probably run away with that. This thing is going to be a Donnybrook, and I think we're going to have a really close finish.
Helen Sachs is the defending champion on the girls' side. She is scheduled to be in that race, though has not, I guess, struggled is the right word. Just finished 11th in the Michigan State Championship meet, but she's coming here with the opportunity to defend her title. Final moments here. The flag is up. The racers are ready. Another championship moment for a championship race course. Laverne Gibson hosting the 2023 Nike Cross Regional Midwest.
The temptation always on a nice day like this is to go out fast and go out hard. Last year, Hunter Jones broke the course record by footsome Zion Selassie, who was the first American finisher at the New York Marathon that both you and I were at last weekend. Hunter Jones ran 14:21.8 on this course. I mean, that's a smoking fast time. I'm not sure we're going to see that at all today, but what we will see is a race. I don't see any one of our favorites, and there are a lot of really good runners here, but I can't see anyone just running away with this thing. The field is too deep, Paul.
On the left side of your screen, if you just joined us for our coverage this year, you'll get at the 1, 2, 3, and 4K updated standings of the individual. We'll also real-time update the team standings. Top 5 individuals that are not affiliated with a team that advances to the final will advance to Portland, and as well, the top 2 teams will advance. You talked about Downers. They were one of those at-large bids last year, so if you finish 3rd and 4th, then you kind of have to prove that you belong with those top teams around the nation. All the regions will have 2 teams eligible for at-larges, but only 4 teams will be selected.
Yeah, that's a good new kind of rule. Get a couple more of those teams in because some of these regions are a little bit more stacked than others. So I think that's a nice... They have this sloping downhill right at the start, which is kind of a nice way to go. You're flat, then you're downhill, and then starts coming the challenges of some turns. There's a little uneven, path there that they have to negotiate. But this is sizing up as not a walk away by any stretch of the imagination for anyone. Well, I love this shot, by the way.
A great shot as they work their way kind of down that funnel of a start and get themselves out into racing here for the opening quarter. It's kind of the far south portion of the race course, and then there's kind of a gentle climb up to the sort of the top end of this fabulous course in Indiana. Isaac Rivera, I believe, on the left side of your screen, bid 1683 from Lincoln's Wolfpack, Missouri. Part of the lead group of runners here. We'll get them all identified for you in the early going here as we get these bib numbers. The way that the data has been given to us, we actually don't really know who's in the race until after they get through the 1K. But it is Rivera coming through the first K. As they're coming up to it right now, they'll cross the timing mat, and then we'll be able to give you the current standings. So there's the 1K. Let's call it 246.5. And right there with Rivera, Andrew Walton from Fairfield Union, Ohio. Quagliaroli of Fear the Tortoise in Indiana is in 3rd. Andrew Hauser, Landon Kimmel, Luke Schneider. And Eli Ilg is going to be in that group as well. You see it go down now to Raschuti, Strayer, and Gableman. That rounds out the top 10. Those are the individuals. And then up above, It's the first 5 athletes of your team and their placings in the race that affords you that team score. And Downers North right now with the early lead. Looks like they're bunched together. That is also unofficial, obviously, as you see the scores dynamically change. LaGrange, also Illinois, in second. And then Lemrack of Indiana currently and unofficially in third.
Yeah, and don't count out Lemrack. In one of the races from 4 to 5K, like all 5 of the runners picked off a number of athletes, and they ended up winning. So there's a lot of shuffling that can take place. A couple notes on our leader pack, Paul. Sam Quagliaroli from Fear the Tortoise. He's ranked number 27th in the Dice Stat rankings. He doesn't have great track credentials, but he was third in the Indiana State High School Championships. Landon Kimmel, he's only a sophomore, Paul, from Tip Cross Country. He was 30th in this race last year, the number 1 freshman finisher. And Eli Ilg, also in that top group from Massillon, that great football powerhouse school. He was second in the Ohio State Division I championships behind Ben Gableman, who's currently tied for 11th.
Yeah, Ilg, that runner-up position in Ohio as a junior, so still a lot of running left in his leg in his high school career. There you see the athletic course tracker and where they are as they're going to reach the first mile mark here. Our next split will be at the 2-kilometer mark, but as they get at this high point of the course and they work their way to the second mile, it's sort of a switchback, as it were. You do have the advantage here, Tom, too, when they make those, and they're not demonstrative turns, even though they look like it here on the tracker, but you do get afforded an opportunity to see where some of your competitors are in relationship to yourself.
And everybody takes a look, Paul. That's for sure. One of the things, it's a pretty aggressive pace, that 2:46.5 first kilo. A lot of that nervous energy is pent up, and you're going for it. With that Hunter Jones course record 14:21, I would be happy with anything in the 14:40 to 14:45 territory here for the winner. But what we're going to see, and as you can see early on here, unlike Jones who took off and flew, we got ourselves a race.
Stop the camera here for a moment so you can grab a ID on maybe some of the athletes that you're following here, but the racing at the front continues to be spirited, getting close to that 2-kilometer mark in this 5-kilometer race as they close in on the 6-minute mark. As they go through 2K right there in 5:49, it's still Isaac Rivera with the lead as he comes through the 2nd kilometer in 3:02.5. Andrew Hauser there in second. And then Ben Gableman is currently in third.
And Ben Gableman has to be considered one of the top picks for this race. He was second in Ohio Division I 1600 last year on the track and fourth in 2022. He's undefeated, Paul, in 6 cross-country races this year. He was first in the Ohio State Championships, and he was 11th last year at NXR Midwest. He's a senior, he's experienced, and I think given that where he is right now in the race, that's a good position for him.
And you also see those team scores being updated. It's a bit of a battle here at the top for the top 2 positions here, with Downers North now with 152 points.
And as I mentioned, this Carmel team, or Lemrack, whatever you want to call them, they are a team that's very smart, and they know how to run this course. And as I mentioned before, they were 4th, now they're 2nd, and it's going to be very tight. What's going to be critical for Lemrack or Carmel is how well Provenzano does.
Another one of those switchbacks here as they, again, don't see any of the course more than once here at Laverne Gibson. This purpose-built facility for the sport of track and field, site to so many major championships, particularly at the NCAA level over the years, and NXR among them.
Paul, big move being made here by Dylan Nolly. He's ranked 21st in the U.S. He's from Marion Mud Puppies. He's a senior. He was 16th in the NXR race last year, but like Gableman, he's undefeated, except he's raced 8 times as opposed to Gableman, who's raced 6. You got a couple guys that are undefeated this season in the lead pack, but do not sleep on this young man.
And look at the spread there in first place for Downers North. 7 seconds separating their top runner and their 5th place runner.
But look at Provenzano. He moved up 26 spots in that last kilo. This is how Carmel does it. This is how they run. And Provenzano will probably be up near the lead pack at some point, but Dylan Nolly trying to get a little separation here from the rest of the crew.
The two-time Illinois 2A state champion, as Tom mentioned, 16th here a year ago, so he's got some experience and some confidence heading into the closing stretches of this race. We're into the third kilometer of this 5-kilometer championship race on the boys' side. The girls' race to follow coming up shortly after the conclusion of this boys' race. And now a little bit of separation by Nolly, but not enough to get him fully out of trouble as he crosses that mat at 8:47 on the clock as he continues to have the lead here with 2K remaining. Rivera in second. Connell Alford is running in third. Will Conway in fourth, and TJ Hansen now in fifth. Hansen out of Freeland, Michigan, the D2 champion from up there.
And Connell Alford is a legit guy, Paul. He senior from Chelsea, Michigan. He was, so last 3 state championships in cross country in Division II, 4th in 21, 1st in 22, 3rd in 23. Doesn't have track credentials that are going to blow you away, but he's a very, very good cross country runner. Will Conway, another guy to watch out for, 25th ranked by DyeStat in the U.S. This guy's a 4:05.72 1,600-meter runner. He's won 5 of his 7 cross-country races in 2023, lost Indiana High School championship to Cameron Todd, and I'm expecting Cameron Todd to move up a bit. He moved up 20 spots between Kilo 2 and 3. He's currently in 13th.
Well, Tom, what I'm struck by here in this closing stretch of the race is there is no separation. The string out of that lead group that numbers pretty well down into the teens as they went through that 3K split, 5 seconds between first and 16th, and if you go all the way down to 23rd, it's only 7 seconds of difference. So a lot of places, and when it's that, relatively tight contested, you see a lot of looking around. If you're in that back of the pack, you just pick off one at a time, and you know that you don't have to bridge any gaps because there are no gaps right now.
That's right. We call it roadkill, Paul. Every time you get somebody, it's a piece of roadkill. Now, there are a couple little developments that have gone on here. Will Conway is in the purple. He's looking very good on the shoulder. And as I mentioned at the beginning, when we talked about this race, I said it was going to be very close, unlike what the women's race is going to be. And we've seen a number of leadership changes here. And this is what I expect. This thing's going to come right down to the wire.
About a K&a-half to go here as you see the updated team standings unofficially through 3,000 meters. Downers North and Lemrek right now, the two that would advance to Nike Cross National. Still a lot of racing to go, including the racing here at the front.
And, Paul, there are 7 that have broken away there, and it's going to be from amongst those 7 that we're likely going to find out who's going to win this race. But Nolly seems to be comfortable leading. I always, as a cross-country runner, hate leading because you want to be able to, if there's any sort of wind, you want to be able to draft off whoever's leading. And you can see those 7 runners pretty tightly bunched.
Yeah, they're going to hit the 4K mats right there. So Nolly gets them through the last K in 3 minutes, 11:47.7. Will Conway, bid 14:16. Cameron Todd now there in third. Seth Norder, TJ Hansen, Samuel Raschuti, Connell Alford, and Andrew Hauser's back a little bit, about 3.5 seconds behind. Who do you like here in the closing stretches?
Yeah, so the real racing has started now, Paul. Cameron Todd moved up 10 spots in the last kilo. He was definitely the favorite coming in. He was 6th in the Champs National Championships last year. He was the number 1 underclassman. My money would still be on Cameron Todd to win this thing.
Well, now Todd making a little bit of a move here, is getting up alongside the rest of the leaders. That's Raschuti now with a little bit of a lead, but now kind of back and forth here. They're kind of sizing each other up as they come into the closing stretches.
And you got to be careful in that closing stretch because that's where that optical illusion takes place. If you haven't run this course before, you're going to be surprised by how long that finishing stretch actually is as opposed to what you think you see. But Todd looks good. He's 15:01. He's in the orange. He looks very comfortable. I see more strain on the guys behind him. And so I'm still kind of – I think Todd knows this course, so he's going to know that he's got to hold some back. Ricciuti hanging in there in the green there in second. And then our early leader, Dylan Nolly, still hanging on. Oh, we've got a big move now coming up here.
Yeah, Hansen trying to make a move on the outside. Nolly kind of blocks him off, but we got 5 guys coming into the closing stretch vying for a championship here in Indiana.
About 1 minute left in this race, Paul, and it's anybody's race. Who's going to make the first move may not be the person who wins this race because of that optical illusion. Everybody's struggling on their face except for Cameron Todd. Cameron Todd looks like he's still quite comfortable. So let's see what happens here. He's in the middle in the orange.
Will Conway alongside him now as they're doing battle. Conway and Todd. And now emerging from this group of 5, Cameron Todd with another gear. The Nike XC Town winner here in September, beginning now to feel the crowd alongside here. A little step up by Will Conway now in a battle with Nally for second. Nally now moves into second. All 5 of these boys would get a ticket as individuals to Nike Cross Nationals in Portland. But Cameron Todd is going to be the champion here on a sunny day in Indiana.
And, Paul, just about what we thought, 14:43.8. We thought about 14:45. And Cameron Todd ran a brilliant, tactically strategic race. Now, what's going to be interesting as they come through here is how that team battle goes, because there was a lot of movement in that last 1,000 meters or so. And it's going to be really, really fascinating to see how this happens. But you know what? Cameron Todd on his face just had that look. I know I'm going to win this race. I'm not worried. I got 4 guys beside me, but I can take all these guys. He looked so calm, so confident, didn't tie up, knows the course, ran a brilliant strategic race.
You have that look every once in a while.
Oh, every once in a while.
Every once in a while. So you see the official results there. Todd 14:43.8 breaks away and beats Conway by 3 seconds on the clock. Nolly there in third. Hansen and Vandekwala with a nice charging close to finish in 5th, just ahead of Ricciuti, who made a very strong battle at the end to try to win this one outright and winds up in 6th. Now the race for the team side. Those numbers in parentheses represent the number of runners that have been scored. Downers North now has all 5 of their runners across the line and unofficially are the winners here in the Midwest Division with 110 points. Those scores, though, can be updated. It's a bit fluid. They're taking all the individual runners out of the results and then reordering those team runners to get those team scores. And PNXE of Illinois now currently in 2nd unofficially.
Yeah, but they haven't put the Carmel or Lemrac scores in. One thing I want to mention about Vandekwala, he picked off 8 guys in the last kilo, which you would expect from a 49.42, 153.67 guy. Now you see Lemrac has finally shown up there, but they dropped quite a bit in that last kilo.
Again, we'll make sure that those are updated to official results before our broadcast is done. But what a great finish. We had 5 guys into the final chute as Cameron Todd emerges from the field. He's with Mike Newman at Dystat to talk about the race.
Cameron Todd from Indiana. You've run this course so many times. Tell me about that last quarter mile. That was crazy.
It's terrifying. I mean, there's so many great competitors, like that guy Matthew Kim. So many just great athletes out there, and it's terrifying to take the lead. But if you want to win the race, you have to take the lead at some point, and I'm glad I did when I made my move.
You've never been to Oregon for NXN.
I've never been there for anything. I can't wait. It's like where they invented running pretty much. So just knowing I get to spend a weekend there, I could not be looking more forward to it.
Congratulations, Cameron. Great job. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks very much, Mike. He's seen a lot of great races there over the years, and that was a fabulous one for him to see at the finish line. And, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, Tom, on the Northwest broadcast. The step you have to make from your respective state title races, and now you come to a regional, and you look left and you look right, and you see a whole bunch of other people who are the best in their states, and the challenge of, as he said, I'm scared to take the lead, but that's the kind of race moment for him that's going to be something he can build on, and he's going to take a lot of confidence to Oregon for his first trip to the Northwest.
The perfect kind of race to prepare you for the NXN championship, because he was under pressure the entire way, and that's what you want. That's what you crave, because then you know what it's like when you line up at NXN. But as you pointed out, Paul, all these 5 states, everybody's been blowing smoke up everybody's dresses, telling them how great they are. Well, then you get to the line here, and it can blow you away, literally and figuratively, because you haven't faced this level of competition.
Well, Downers North and PNXC continue to hold on to those unofficial 1 and 2 spots that would afford them an advancement to Oregon as automatic qualifiers on the team side. The Cougar Running Club of Illinois very close to PNXC by just 3 points, finishing in 3rd. They would have an opportunity as an at-large. Lemrack, if that holds, a bit of a surprise as they drop considerably. And as you look down at their scoring here, Tom, you know, 3rd, 4th, and 5th runners, 63, 67, and 76. They were together, but not together in the right part of the finish.
Indeed, and Plainfield North came to play, and that's the PNXC team. They were a little unlooked for here to do as well as they did, and they really, really came through, and they packed it in pretty well as well.
So still a girls' championship race to come to close out our coverage of this first of 3 consecutive weekends of coverage on runnerspace.com of these regionals around the country. Next weekend will be in the Woodlands, Texas for the South Regional, the Southwest Regional as well, and we'll throw in the Southeast Region in Cary, North Carolina before we head to the Northeast in the 3rd weekend on the holiday weekend for back-to-back Northeast and New York on the same track there in Wappingers Falls, New York. For the conclusion of our regionals. The California region is populated as the result of their state championships, and then everyone gathers in early December in Portland for Nike Cross Nationals, live coverage for which you'll be able to see live here on runnerspace.com as well.
That was just a real, I'm still kind of shaking a little bit from that race. I mean, there was just a tremendous, it's not usual, no matter how good the region is, to have 5 straight across going mano a mano. And this is where Todd, you can see, I think he's got that look of confidence where he knows he's going to win. Look at the faces of the other runners. They're all straining. But here is Cameron Todd, doesn't tie up, goes to the arms, and he knows he's got this one, and it's a big one.
Running for the indigenous peoples of North America is something really rooted in the endurance of our ancestors.
Our ancestors didn't go through what they went through for us to fail. We're here to battle within ourselves here, all right? Battle through every emotion that you guys are going through. More importantly, let's have some fun. When we're having fun, we're smiling, things fall into place where we need them to be. Once again, let's show everybody who the diamonds are in New Mexico.
From 1983 to 2002, 14 boys and 11 girls state titles.
But if we didn't win, we came in 2nd.
We don't ever follow anybody's footprints. We make our own footprints. That's how our life's going to be designed.
This is the slide. The IHSAA state champion.
We have the Downers Grove North Track Club from Illinois. Another sweep for Illinois, 1, 2, 3. Were you expecting this kind of a race today?
Someone else. I mean, yeah, we've been, just like State, we've been training all year, just expecting to put it all out here, and I think that's what each and one of us did. We grouped it up at the end, which is good, and we worked as a team.
The last mile, you were packed together. You were wearing purple this time, too. How did it feel crossing the line knowing that you think you've gotten this?
I mean, last year Oregon was just so awesome, and we wanted to do everything we could to get back there. And crossing the line, we knew they did that, so it felt pretty good.
1, 2, 3 for Illinois too.
That's awesome. Give him an XR. Let's go.
Back to you, Paul. Stay still.
Thanks, Mike. Showing no favoritism to the